Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the Cowboy Build. I'm here doing some bits. Been working in the kitchen, bathrooms, all over. A few bits here and there we've been doing. Haven't been really filming it, but I'm here on the weekend doing some stuff. So let me show you a couple of bits that we've done, and I'll show you what I'm gonna probably try and work on today. And I might be able to sort of kind of go through it and show how, in case anybody's doing something similar like this, they can understand how to do it. So let's jump right into it. Right, so let's move along. Let's see. Right, we're going to start here in the kitchen. You guys might have remembered I told you we had to take a partition wall out, which was a false partition, which we took out to make the room a bit bigger. So if you look from here, the kitchen, if you look from here, see if I want to show you guys. This is where the old partition used to be, right here. So you can see we're moving it back about a foot, about a foot, 300 mils. So I've been working on the framing for this. You guys can see here, and basically now it's going to come close up to this cupboard here. Okay, so we made the kitchen a little bit bigger. Again, you can see it where the partition was in here. This is also a partition false wall. This used to be a massive room before, then they split it into a kitchen and a bedroom, essentially, which is that room, which is the last room we've got to decorate. It's really just decorating in that room. That's what we let it for now. So yeah, this is basically where the doorway is going to be. Now the door used to be all the way to the right over there. Now it's more central, so there's space for cabinet, and there's also some shallow cabinets going on that side. So you basically will go through here, and the layout was changed as well. It was sort of more of a gallery. It was a bit narrower in the middle, so we've got these shallow cabinets going along this side. Electricians are going to be running the power for in here. He was waiting for us to take this floor up because the cables were wrapped up underneath the floor, and now he can run them in here now. So basically what we've done so far is we've pretty much put the units, all these units have all been fitted correctly in the right spaces now. Exact, they've all been screwed in position. So what we have here is we now have a so there's going to be drawers here, there's going to be a hob here. The sink now moved from here. You used to have, that's all been moved now. You used to have, that's why we had to cut the floor here. You used to have the gas coming up here, and you had a cooker somewhere down here, freestanding cooker, and then you had the sink somewhere around here. So that's all been moved. All the water pipes have moved. We moved all the water pipes and run them on the floor onto this side to come up the back there. They were all running around here. So because there's a washing machine going in here, and it's so tight, all those pipes were in the way on the side. The washing machine wouldn't get in. So our waste pipe is still there, which is still going to work. This is in the corner. We've put an elbow and we're sending it this way now. It's going to run around and come into the back of this sink, as opposed to it used to run around the wall here, onto this wall. So that's what's going there. There'll be an end panel on this end, so we're going to take the skirting board out because it's so tight. The end panel fits exactly in the 600 mil for the washing machine. So that's where we are with that. So what I want to do today, focus on today, is cutting out for the sink and see if we can connect it up. We don't actually have the taps actually, but we might be able to connect the waste, put the sink in and all that stuff. Maybe. At worst case, I'd just like to cut it out and fit the sink, and I'll show you guys how to do that, how to measure that, how to cut it right, and different ways you can do it. So that's that. I also like to see if I at the same time cut out for the hob, and I just drop the hob in so that it's ready for connections and stuff like that. It is a gas hob. Later on, this boiler is actually going to be replaced and moved. It's only moving on the adjacent wall, so there's no real pipe works to be routed anywhere. It can all be done from above. They'll just basically cut the pipes there, and then it will fit on that wall, and the flue will run along and go through the wall. Pretty much same place there really. And it'll be a new boiler there on the wall, so we'll come back to that soon. So we got a little bit more cleaning up to do. I'm going to cut some of this plasterboard out, and then most of it's going to have cabinets anyway, and there'll be a bit of tile underneath. So that's there. So here we've got a microwave oven or something like that going to be at the top here, and we've got a normal oven at the bottom here. So they're just hanging out slightly at the moment, but that's what that's going to be. Then in here we're going to have a built-in fridge that's going to fit in this cabinet here. It's the last cabinet. And as I said, we got some wall units to go here, a couple of wall units and an extract. And then on this side here, we have two of these shallow units going to be along the walls. Obviously, we've got work to do on this wall and plastering and stuff, but there'll be two shallow wall units here. with worktops on it as well. Obviously a more shallow worktop, same worktop, but we'll have to rip it down to fit along this area, and it's going to stop somewhere here. It should be enough space to get the washing machine in and out. Yeah, so I think this cabinet is going to run right down to the wall, and then the other cabinet, which is the same, is going to sit next to it. So it's going to be sort of 2 meters of extra shallow sort of unit space here. We'll put a couple of sockets on the wall out here. So that's that. So what else have we done? Right, so we've been working in here, which is pretty much today. I'm going to put this toilet in today. I've got to grout the floor. It's not much grouting to do, but I'm going to grout the floor. Probably do that right now so that I can dry today. Then I can get the toilet in. Sorry, camera's playing up. Put the toilet in. Someone was asking about where's the water. The water pipe is going to be, let's see it here. It is right here. I'm going to take this tape out now. And there's the hole for it. And it's just going to drop down. Below here is the extension below. There's no plasterboard on the ceilings yet or anything. So the pipes, the water pipes are all running in the ceiling below this. So once we drop it down, we can go down below and make the connection to it. So that's what's going to be connected there. This now has had its second coat. Give it a second coat the other day, so it's nice and dry. We just had some wallpaper dropped off here as well, which I just seen. They've left some wallpaper here. This is what they want, basically. Show us this. There's 2 rolls of it. This is what they want on the walls of the bathroom. So it's basically going to be this stripy wallpaper that's going to go in here. And that is basically the toilet. It's got a radiator to put on there. A small radiator, and then a door, and this toilet is done. This toilet, I don't know if people remember what this place looked like, but I had to look back at a video the other day to see what this little dingy toilet looked like, and this is so dramatically different. And obviously the floor's level, that's a massive. If you guys can see how bad this was, look at the bottom here. What I've had to do to level that. There's not much we can do about out here. I mean, I've got some ideas. We may be able to work something out. We might. The only way I can think of doing something is strip furring the floors and stuff like that, and then you got to ply line them again. This is, I don't know. We'll see. But there may be some things we can do. But it's just, everything is just cost. Everything is cost because of the dips that they created in the house. So that's that. Well, we had to do a similar thing again in the bathroom here, which I've been working on. You guys can see it. We've had to redo the floor here, and we also self-leveled it. So this was done as well. And I've just laid the tiles out like I did in the other room. We've cut out the holes for the what do you call them? The radiators. So at the moment they're just laying out now. So I haven't stuck them down yet. So that's what one job I'm going to do. I don't know if I'll do that today, but that's ready to go. Bath is pretty much in place. We just need to connect it up. We're also now adding a shower in there. So that was added. The shower is going to go on there, same like we did, exactly the same like we did upstairs. And then obviously then last will be the sink unit, as a sink cabinet going in here. So as far as the tiling in here, what we're doing is we're tiling this wall here and we're tiling this wall here. So guys, I'm going to show you what the tiles look like for that bathroom wall. They are these small tiles, sort of green tiles here, glossy, sort of ripply tiles. And basically, how they want them tiled is like soldiers. They're basically going to be tiled like this along the walls. So they'll basically be just in rows like this. What do you think of that? Like that style? Not particularly my style, but this is basically how they will be tiled in the wall. So they will basically go around this whole bath wall and all the way around here. And when that's all done, then we can put the sink in. So mostly in here really is tiling to do now. So that's just me a job. When I get the chance, it's just a lot monotonous. I'm doing some late ones here as well in the weeks after work as well. So we come in and tile half of it or whatever on one day and do the other half another day. Well, that's where we are with that. So that's the main rooms we've been working on there. Working on here, we've been working on the kitchen upstairs as well. Yes, I'm going to show you guys the kitchen upstairs. Totally forgot about that kitchen upstairs. Let's see. working on this kitchen, which is another kitchen. Sorry, I haven't got any light up here at the moment. I've disconnected the power. But this kitchen is a sort of a green colour-ish, something like that. We got a sink. We got a fridge going in here, built-in fridge, same as downstairs. Then we've got drawers here. We've already fitted these drawers, so we've got nice soft closed drawers there. Then we've got a hob here, cooker, gas hob here. Gas pipe's already been run there. We're gonna have some sockets here as well. They've all been run ages ago. We've got a cabinet here. Shall I put this way? Corner unit. So the sink, I think the sink is, I can remember. Yes, sink is here. As you can see, we've got the pipes in here ready. Water pipes are there. Sink is in here. I think the drain part's going to be over here somewhere. We don't have any washing machine already. Originally was trying to get, I think, a dishwasher in here, but it was all washing machine or something, but it's just no space. So we've got a cupboard here now. The new boiler is going to be up there. I think I mentioned that before. It's getting moved to here. Most of the pipes are sort of ready there. The cables are ready for it as well, power wise. And then we've got, I think we've got one tall wall unit going here next to this, fitting in this flat part of the ceiling. Fits right here. And then there's some extractor here that's going to go out through the roof as well. So that's in here. So we've done quite a bit in here. All the floors been sorted. We sorted out all the bad joists. We've replied plywood to the floor, and most of these units are in, and they actually are screwed in, and they're all fixed in position. So really in here is to get the worktop in. I won't do that today. I can't manage getting that upstairs on my own, but just need to cut the worktop in here. And then again, same like what I'm doing in the other kitchen now today, is cut the sink out, cut the hob in, and we can get the hob connected, we can get the sinks connected, and then we'll have working sort of water and cooker in here. And then we've got to get that big fridge up here. It's just some second fixing sockets to be done in here. We can get the big fridge in, and that's the only other appliance in here. And then just get the rest of get the doors on or whatever. I think, actually no, there's an oven going in here, sorry. The oven goes in here and the hob goes on top. That's for here. That's pretty much there. This bathroom here is pretty much done. We've just got this glass screen to fit, so I'm going to put that screen in. I fitted the light now. We're waiting for the light, so the light has been fitted. Here just needs painting. It's just going to be painted in here. So once we put that screen in, glass screen, it's just to paint in here, and here is all done. It's all been grouted and it's all done. Radiator's been connected and stuff like that. So that's that. Yeah, so let's get down to the kitchen downstairs and let's get on with that sink. Alright guys, so here's our sink. And this is the way our sink is going to go. It can only go in one way anyway, because this sink has the hole pre-cut out. Okay, sometimes you get a hole in either end, and that allows you to decide if you want to have the tank tap here and the sink here and the drain on that side. You can flip it around and have it the other way, and then you normally get this little blank in place that you can blank one of the holes off. This sink is a, I don't know, we call it a right hand sink or a left hand sink. Maybe a left hand sink, the sink's on the left. So it only goes one way. So it's going to go this way. And the plan is, which is usual, the bowl part, which is this deep recessed area, will go into, oops, this out of the way. This is the door for the dishwasher. The bowl will sit inside here. Okay, and then basically you will have the taps and stuff connected under. This drain part now will sit above the washing machine. It will sit within the thickness of this, so it won't knock or hit the washing machine below. So this is basically how we want to put it. Okay, it's going to sit here. So it's funny, the extension that we're doing at the moment, the one with the block and beam floor, we just took the sink out of there while we were ripping up the old kitchen, and we're going to try and refit it in the other side. And it's amazing stuff you come up with. So what we found out, whoever had installed that sink at one time, and it made sense why there was so much thick silicone around it, is what they had done is they had just cut a square, and this is why I'm doing this video. Somebody might not know this is how you do it. Someone had just cut a square out of the worktop and then plonked this inside. Okay, now all this area here was just sitting on top of the worktop. So because it's got this raised edge here, you guys might be able to see it, it would never sit down flat down to the worktop. So there were just massive gaps, so they just filled it with silicone, and they just put silicone on here and glued it on top. Okay, so all they did was cut this square hole out. That's not how you fit this. You have to cut the entire rectangle out. Okay, and I'll show you what the measurement is of how you cut it, but you do need to cut all this section has to be cut as well. Okay, so you're going to get a massive rectangle hole, not just a square for this bit. Very important. Okay, also if you're going to fit a sink in, even if you're just taking a sink out and replacing it and you want to change the sink, it's a lot easier to fit things like the taps first before you put it in. Don't try to put this in and then go on there and try to do the taps. It's so much easier to fit taps on sinks before you put them in. So if you can imagine now I had the tap, I can just put the tap in and we can bolt it up and tighten it up, and then you just make the connections later. It's so much easier. Don't have the taps today, so for today all I'm going to do is fit it in. I'm not going to silicone or bolt the sink in today, because I will get the taps probably in the week, and then I can fit the taps on, and then I'll bolt it together and all that. So we're not going to actually fit the sink fully today, but I'm going to show you how we fit it. So a couple of things you need to bear in mind. Let me show you. Right, so a couple of things you need to think about is fouling. Okay, now if you look underneath here and you look up under here, there's a couple of things. One is this brace. Okay, this brace here gives this cabinet some strength, right? So it's connected here and it's also connected here, and then also it's got screws into it that screw up into the worktop. So this brace is quite important. But most of the time, and I know in this case I'm pretty much sure I checked it already, the bowl often fouls on this. So as well as cutting this, you often have to cut a section of this. Hopefully you get away with only cutting a piece of it and not cutting the whole thing, because you will lose the rigidity. It's literally holding this from moving. Okay, there is ways to sort of, you know, do something with it, but ideally you don't want to cut the whole thing. So that's one thing you got to look for in fouling. Sometimes after you've cut the worktop, you have to go over again and then cut this, because a lot of the time the saw depth might not go deep enough. So that's that. So what we're going to do is we need to make sure that this bowl here, and I talk about from this, at least from this side, and at least from this side, that it is going to fall inside this gap. So you're not going to have it like this, and when you come to cut it, and I've seen this before, I've had it somewhere else, you realize when you start to cut it, this is now fouling on this panel, and then you have to cut a huge chunk out of the side of this panel. I've seen it done before. So it's very important. You take your measurements, take your time, and try to centralize this bowl in this space. You can find ways to figure it out. One maybe what technique is find out what the distance between here mark the center of it, make sure you mark it up here, and you can transfer that measurement. For instance, this sink, the center is that hole, so you would transfer this line to line up with the center of that hole. Then you know you're in the middle of the cabinet. So that's one of the first things. Next, you want to look at how much depth you have in front here and how much depth you have on the back, and make sure you get it in the right place. Some places people, they want more depth in the front or more in the back. Generally sort of equalize it. Usually it comes out about 50 mil either side, most times somewhere around that 40-50 mil. So you can see the back here. On this design of the kitchen, we actually have to build a box down onto the window. This is how it's been designed. So the window, you can see it's lower, so we've got to have a backing that comes down out of use that materials that they've given us. So that's that. So we centralize it in the cupboard and we centralize it this way. Once you've done that and you're happy, also make sure it's square. Check your edges. So whatever your measurement is here, let's say it's 4 centimeters, make sure it's 4 centimeters down here. Make sure it's not skewed like that, where you've got a little gap here and a massive gap here. Okay, so make sure it's straight and skewed, then skewed, and make sure it's good. Once you're good with that, then we begin marking. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a pencil, we're going to draw a pencil shape all the way around here, all the way around. We're going to draw a pencil, And I'm going to do that now, and then we're going to pick up after that. Alright guys, so I've centralized it this way, and what I've done in the front is I've made it exactly 5 centimeters from the front, and it's 4 centimeters from the back. The reason why I push it a little bit more this way is just to miss that, miss a little bit more of that bracing I was told you, because it's almost 4 centimeters from the edge, so there's only going to be a little bit of a left when I cut it, so I may have to add some little bracing. But this is where we are now. So now we're in a place where we want it. I'm going to mark all the way around the shape. Make sure you follow the curve as well, if it's got a curve. Right, so that's done. Let's take this out of the way. And we've got a nice shape. You guys might be able to see it. I'm not sure if you can see it, but let me see if I can show you guys this up close. So this is what we've got here. Can we see it? Maybe. Yes, we can. So you can see we've got a nice little curves around the edge. We've got the whole shape there, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around here. Okay, so that is step 1. Right, coming back to this next step. Bear in mind, this mark that we put is the outer edge of the sink. Now, if we just cut it to there, and you drop the sink might just drop through the hole. Okay, so that's not where we want to cut it. This is our first mark. We're going to use that mark as a reference for the second mark. Now, where we want to actually cut the opening is close to the inside edge of this. And I'll show it to you here. So you've got this little lip, this ridge here, right? We want to cut just a little bit bigger than the outside of this edge. So the space that we've got to work with is essentially this space from the outer edge here to the inside of this little lip. That's the space we have to play with. So we sort of want to cut it sort of roughly halfway between that space. All right, now if we measure with our tape measure, from the outer side to the inner side, we're talking about, I would say that's 12 to 13 mil, okay, 13 mil. So I would say 10 mil would be good. That would give us a 3 mil space to play about with all the way around, right? So I'm gonna go with 10 mil. So what I'll do now is I would measure from my outside edge and I would mark 10 mil around here. I'll do it here, I'll do it here, I'll do it here, I'll do it down that end, 2 marks on that one, and then obviously I'll do 1 or 2 or 3 on that mark. And I'm going to do that now. I'll show you what to do after that. We'll go on the line, make it as precise as possible, so make sure you're squinting like me. So you've got 10 mil there on that end, maybe 10 mil here as well. That's 1 centimeter. 10 mil there. There. And really take your time with this. And it's better to cut it too small than cut it too big. You can always trim and cut more until you get the perfect fit. If you feel it's a bit tight in the area, so you might not cut it straight perfectly, especially if you're using the jigsaw, it might be a little bit wavy and then maybe some pick that foul. You can take your time and trim it or sand it or whatever. If you cut it too big, worktop's ruined and you've got to buy a new worktop. So this is something you don't want to rush, so take your time. Right, so now we've done these marks, what we're going to do with a straight edge is we're going to join these lines up and make a line and do the same thing here, the same thing here, and the same thing here. So you can use a level. If I've got level, I just had this right next to me, a nice, very straight piece of timber for the door frame lining. I'm going to use that and mark these. Okay, and it's the perfect length as well for what I need. One here, one here. Yeah. Could have been a little bit longer, but that's fine. Slide it down a bit. Okay. Same thing up here. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm just going to freehand. Remember we did a little curve on the outside? I'm going to freehand that little curve on the inside and try and keep that to match that sort of 10 mil as well. So just give it a little curve here as well. I'll do the same thing here, a little curve on all the corners. Curve there. So this is what our drawing looks like. So here's our first outside trace. Here's the 10 mil trace. I'm in a little curve here, and I've run that trace there all the way around like that, all the way around here. Right, so now this line, the second line, is our actual line we're going to be cutting. Okay, it's going to cut this one to drop the sink in, and this space here is where the lip of the sink is going to be sort of sitting on the worktop and what's going to hold it from falling inside. So depending on how you're going to cut this, you will need a drill bit of some sort. You're going to need to drill some corner holes, which I've done already here. Sorry I missed that, I wasn't recording. So I've drilled a pilot hole in each corner. The blade of the or the drill diameter needs to be at least the width of your jigsaw blade if you're using a jigsaw, so that you can get the jigsaw blade in there, and you cut from this hole to this hole, and from that hole to that hole, and you just go all the way around until this drops out. If you're using a jigsaw, just be aware when you come up to this vertical panel here, sometimes the jigsaw might hit it or cut through it. You just want to be mindful here. You might need to raise the jigsaw up a little bit just to get past this bit, so you don't start cutting through it. Okay, because it looks better if you don't damage that. Now, I'm going to be using a circular saw. I've already set it. Now, if you're using a circular saw, set your depth so it's not too deep. Again, so you're not cutting through this panel here. So I've set it here now on my depth is so it's a fraction deeper than the worktop. Okay, that's what you want to get it. You don't want to cut too much of this if you don't need to. Okay, when I get to that section where I told you there's this brace, we would have to drop it down a little bit more and plunge to cut that section out. Otherwise, it's not going to cut. Or I can take this out, and when I've taken this cut out, then I can cut the brace. Because I already had a guideline in there, and we'll just follow that guideline. Right, so I'm going to cut this out now, and then we're going to see how it looks. Looking good. So this is where the jigsaw will come in handy to finish this off, but I'm going to do it by hand. Because this is a chipboard, it's easy to cut it even with a plasterboard saw. It's almost like a little jigsaw basically, so that's nice and easy to cut. For some reason I haven't gone all the way through on that side. Maybe I had the blade slightly raised. This side we're going to have to cut again.
Okay guys, I did have to give it 2 passes. My blade was just slightly bit too high, so I had to drop it down just a little bit more to cut it. But as you can see, if you look closely up to this section here, it's literally just touched the top of the cabinet. If I had just cut it normally, well, I've ended up having a cut here, which you could see obviously from here. And if I had done it on this side, on the side here, you would see it from inside the cabinet when you open the door. So again, we've literally not even touched it, so that's how I wanted it. So now we've got this section is what I was telling you about, which is we can check it first, but I pretty much know part of it is going to hit the sink, so we do want to cut some of this out so that the sink can go in properly. So as expected, this bit is hitting the base here, so we do want to cut some of this out. So I'm going to cut again minimal out of this as possible. So I can do some measurements and see how far in it is, which is what I'll do. And I'll transfer that measurement to there. So I know from the base of this to the edge of this is exactly 4.5 centimeters. So we need to give it about a 5 centimeter cut. That gives myself a little bit of space. So we know our outer edge is the first line that we measured. So we're going to do 5 centimeters from that and mark that below. Same thing again here, 5 centimeters, mark it. Draw that line together. Double check again. You said 5 centimeters, wasn't it? This is why you measure twice, because I made 1 5 and 1 6. Okay, so we draw that line, and that's what we want to take off that. So I don't need to take all of it, I can give it a little curve actually as well. So again, we're going 5 from this way as well. And the whole bowl is 45, so we'll go 45 from the first mark, which takes us back here. So now I've got a shape of what I need to take out. Now I need full length for the circular saw, and I can cut it from above. Guys, let me show you what that's supposed to look like. So you can see I've cut this little section out so the sink can drop in, and that way I've not had to take out the entire brace. So we've still got a good chunk of the brace in there, which, as I said, helps to hold this side together. Now I'm going to try again. Let's see if this fits, or whether we've got some fettling to do. Fits if I push it in tight. Oh, yeah, that is what I call a tight, perfect fit. Now I might give it a little bit of a trim. It felt a little bit tight here, so I might just pass the blade on the edge there, But otherwise, that is basically fitted in. So this is what it looks like, and this is how this should be sitting along here. Now there are some bits to put under here. There's a foam sealer that you've got to stick underneath this, and then we're going to screw the clamps that clamp underneath, so they clamp onto here and here, and they go all the way around, and they hook onto the sink and clamp it to the sink. So we're not going to go into that part of it today. All I wanted to show you guys was how I cut this out. So as I say, I'm leaving it like this. I'm going to pull the sink out to fit the tap in, and then I'll fit the sealant and clamp it down, and then that will be it down good for good. Then this section here, now that I've got this in, didn't come with the trap, so I need to get a trap and then measure where I need to cut through this board to poke my pipe through at the back, and then connect it up to that bit of corner elbow there, and then that's basically the waist side connected. So I'm gonna probably time lapse the next one, which is going to be this one here, which is the hob. I'm going to go get the hob. I'm going to cut that one out and also get that one in, and then I may work on building these drawers or something like that, so that they're all ready to go as well. Well, this one was so much easier to do. One go, perfect, fitted perfect. So let's see if this fits perfectly. And it does. Lovely, perfect. Not catching under anything. Spot on. Everything's in the right place. So that is 2 units cut out. This kitchen is done. We just need to get that connected up. We'll connect that up in the week, the sink and everything. Get these drawers on. Get the drawers on after he's done the connection actually. And then that's all these units. We just need to put the door on the dishwasher. And that is all these units done. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. I'm going to do a nice little clean up now. So we've got our hob in there. Our drawers are going to go in here. If you look underneath, you can see here, and from underneath we've got to put these little clamps in as well, that clamp on as well, so those got to go in. But that's where they're going to connect to. Yeah, and that's pretty much it done. So that's that side here done. That's the sink done as well, all cut out. So guys, that is it for this video. I'm going to crack on with a few little bits. I've got some grouting to do, as I said, in the other room. Grout that toilet and put that toilet in and connect it up. A few little bits and tidy up and all that stuff. That's going to be me for today. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe you learned something. Maybe it was interesting just to see how it's done, or how I do it anyway. But yeah, if you do, please like, comment and subscribe to this video. And we shall see you guys on the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching.